Welcome, Jennifer, to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is such an interesting topic. I am really excited to find out more about what you do. So, welcome and share with us a little bit about your journey.
Thank you, Angela. I really am honored to come on here today and talk to you and your audience. So yes, I'm a strategic kinesiologist and clinical hypnotherapist. So how did I get here? It's been a long journey here, such a long journey, 20 years in corporate. I loved my work in corporate. If anyone told me I'd be here, and some people told me that I wouldn't be here, I would laugh at them because I was in my dream career. Right? I was a fashion designer. I was traveling the world. I was in my absolute dream job, in my element. But when you have kids, life changes.
Yeah.
And while we were pregnant, I was like, you be the stay-at-home dad. I'll go back to work. But once that little gorgeous being pops out and is in your arms, I don't know about you, but I did not want to leave him.
No, yeah.
And I even remember my first day back at work. I think I was in tears most of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was like postpartum, all those emotions, but I really wanted to be a mum.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought I'd be that. So along nurturing this little child, I just wanted the best for him. Right? Whether that was when he started eating, I wanted the best food. When he started drinking water, I wanted the cleanest water. And this really set me down this health path on looking at what we were consuming compared to what we could be consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So this was not only with food and produce and things like that, but it got me down the path of mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And, going back to my 20s, I was introduced to kinesiology. And the way that I was introduced to kinesiology was a very random way, random but not random, right? Is I had a car accident. I was in a 5-car pileup and I think I was car number 3. And I'd sprained my spine. So it wasn't too serious, but I was in a lot of pain for quite a while afterwards. And I just happened to need to cancel one of my nutritionist appointment. And I was on the phone to him and he's like, what happened? Told him what happened. He goes, go and see this kinesiologist girl. Now, at this stage, I'd never heard of this word and had no idea what this was about. So he said, go to see her and she'll help you with your pain. I'm like, all right, like can't hurt, right?
Right.
So I went there, told her my problem, lay on the table. She did her thing. Angela, I got up at that table with 0 pain. And I'm like, I don't know what you did, but it was gentle. It felt like almost nothing. And I'm pain-free.
Mm-hmm.
And the pain never came back.
Mm.
And I'm like, this is intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
So from that day, I had used kinesiology for pain, for gut health, for help me through, the ups and downs of your career and everything in between. And so when I had my second child, like we do as crazy mothers, I went, I'm going to go study this. So my little one was 6 months old, still breastfeeding. I went back to study, not knowing what I was going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just an intuitive hit that I got that I want to go study this stuff. I want to learn more about it. And I entered this room as the only corporate person in there. The rest were acupuncturists, Chinese medicine doctors, nutritionists. And then there's me as this corporate fashion designer. I'm like, what am I doing here? But I took to it like it was my second thing.
Mm-hmm.
So natural for me. And I absolutely loved it. And I think what I loved most, Angela, was the simplicity of the body, but yet we complicate it so much
Mm-hmm.
and what it could do. So during my 2-year course, I got rid of my eczema that I'd had since I was a little like, I can't even remember, maybe 3 or 4. My legs were covered in hideous eczema. All that disappeared. Through my case studies that I did while I was studying, I had, 12, 13-year-old boys that weren't growing, that all of a sudden would grow like 5 centimeters in such a short amount of time because they rebalanced their body. I started working on babies that could not sleep through the night and releasing birth trauma and get them to sleep through the night. Like, the things that we were seeing, I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is something that, these women, and including myself, would try for years to find ways to work through it because, no drugs could do it, or no medication to do it, or there was no health route to go on to help them. And within a couple of sessions of kinesiology, like, all this would disappear. And it fascinated me. So I started working, yes, with kids that couldn't sleep. And then I moved into gut health. And what interested me a lot with gut health is, at that time, the gluten sensitivity was at its heightened. So that was about 8-9 years ago. So everyone thought they were gluten insensitive or was jumping on that bandwagon because it just made them feel better. So I was helping people repair their gut health. And what I found is that I wasn't doing this very much nutritionally, but it was through the stress, the emotional stress that I was holding, that was affecting the most. Now, most of the clientele that I was getting had been all through the dietary, routines. Yes, I've done the elimination diet, I've done the FODMAP diet, I've done gluten-free diets, and I'm still bloating. My digestive system's still not functioning properly. So I'm like, yep, let's have a look at it. And so through the muscle testing that kinesiology enables you to do, and connecting with the energy of the body holds all the answers to you. So with muscle testing, you're able to figure out what is wrong, how the body wants to heal. So it's not about me knowing, it's about me knowing how to connect with your body to get the answers. So through that gut health journey, it was all about stress. And with us women, when we look at Chinese medicine and what emotions sit in the digestive system, a lot of it is, yes, it's around depression, but a lot of it is around self-worth. Right? So how we see ourselves, not only how we see ourselves, but how we see ourselves compared to others. And that is huge, and that plays a big role in what happens in our gut. So, when you're anxious, like, how you feel that your stomach's just not amazing, right? And they're just in small anxious moments. So imagine holding that anxiety for long periods of time, and what that does to the microbiome, what that does to the walls, the lining of the gut, and all of this, right? It produces that inflammation effect, because what is inflammation? It's our body trying to protect itself. So it's our own protective mechanism. But what it is, it's our own protective mechanism from the way we're thinking about ourselves. So as we're working on gut health, what we're really working on is self-belief, self-love, self-worth. And this is what I loved about it. So as I was working on gut health, I had another kinesiologist come in one day, and we're working on her gut health. But what we're also noticing, as she's coming in every now and then for treatment, that her business is also starting to improve, right? And we're like, I get it. Self-worth, increases our confidence. But there was something else that we just weren't seeing here that was correlating. So with kinesiology, what we do is we tell the body what we're currently going through, so the pain, the dysfunction, and we give it the goal that we want, right? So in gut health, it was, we're feeling bloated. We don't want to be bloated, right? And then through the testing and questioning, we work out why and how to balance it. So I'm like, what if we do this the other way around? She was currently on 12 clients a week. She wanted to be on 15. I'm like, what if your body could tell you what the blocks were on how to get, or why you're not getting 15 clients a week. So we did it the other way around. And here's the funny thing, funny, not funny, is yes, it tells you what your blocks are. Is it self-worth? Is it lack of confidence? Is it that you don't feel supported in your business? Is it that, is it money beliefs that you have from, childhood and how you grew up around money and how your parents perceive money, how your parents perceived wealthy people, right? So then we would balance that and she would get the clients. So this is what we started to do. And my first main business client, she came to me and she said to me, Jennifer, I'm a business coach. I work with people on strategy. And I'm like, this is interesting. Why are you coming to me? Like, you know the strategy. She's like, I'm in a pickle. Nothing that I'm doing is working when it used to work. I'm like, isn't that interesting? Right? So why does a strategy that's worked for you for the last 5 years of business all of a sudden not work? So when she came to me, she was in debt. She was borrowing money off people. She was considering on going back to a part-time job. So I'm like, let's work together for 4 weeks, 1 session a week, and see where we get to. So what we found with her as we're connecting in with her body were things like the way her parents saw business as risky, right? A part-time job or a job is secure. You have money coming into the bank every week without fail. Even if you're sick, you get holiday pay, you get, your superannuation. Everything is safe. It's secure. It's predictable. Business is risky. It's unpredictable. So she had this in the back of her head as she's trying to build her business. Now, is that in alignment with where she's going? Absolutely not. So we had to shift that within her. We shifted things like that. We gave her practices around self-care on what to do. So she's energetically prepared for her business day.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're going into your business day going, oh my God, nothing's going to work. Guess what? It's not really going to work because we don't have the belief behind us. So we can have the best strategy in the world, but unless we believe in ourselves, unless we like executing our strategy, it's just not going to work as effective as if we're full blown aligned behind it. So we did that for 4 weeks, and Angela, she ended up earning just under 10 grand that month from nothing.
Wow. That
So
is that is so fascinating. I just like, so the body knows where to release what it is that is holding you back, that is creating this block for you.
So everything that we have ever been through
Yeah.
is held in our body.
Mm-hmm.
Good, bad, indifferent, everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our body also has its own innate wisdom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you get that intuitive nudge to eat a certain food, when you get that intuitive nudge to go and introduce yourself to someone, when you get that intuitive nudge to go and work with someone, and you're like, I don't know why I need to work with her,
Mm-hmm.
but I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start working together, you're like, oh, that's what I needed. So your body at its core soul level has all the information you have. And when we look at our dreams, our desires, our visions for our future, I see that as memories of our future.
Mm-hmm.
They're given to you because your body, your soul knows it can achieve it. Right? It's not, your vision is not given to me. It's not given to the next person. It's given to you. So when you have this vision of the future, like we can look at this so many different ways. We can look at it as in your body can create the roadmap to get there. Your soul can create the roadmap to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And when we tap into that energy, it can show us the roadmap. Now, here's the key. It won't ever show you 100% of the roadmap, right? Because that'll overwhelm our conscious minds. But it might show you the next step and the next step, and that's where trust and faith comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or we can look at those pictures of the future and go, that is actually, like, I look at it as there is no such thing as time, but everything is in a parallel universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we look at quantum physics, and especially when we look at the loop theory and theories like that, that shows us everything is happening at once. So those visions we have of ourselves standing on stage in front of thousands of people, being on a podcast that millions of people listen to, that is something that is happening simultaneously right now. And your job is, how do I jump timelines? Right?
I have goosebumps.
Right.
Oh
And
my gosh.
goosebumps is just one way that I love, that's validation from the universe going, yeah, that feels true. That is truth for me. Right?
Wow. So maybe for listeners, can you give us like a brief description of what kinesiology is and like how you do this? And can you do this remotely or do you have to see you in person?
Great question. First one, I work with women all around the world. I love my US clients. They are probably some of my most beautiful clients. I work with people in the US. I work with people in Bali, New Zealand, South Africa, Portugal, UK,
Oh.
and obviously local ones here. So that is a blessing COVID did for me as a business. I was probably about 70% online before COVID. I'm 95% online now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because as we said before, there is no time when it comes to energetics. So there's also no distance. So I can sit here effortlessly and tap into your energy with your permission. Right?
What?
If you want, we can do that later. How does it work? Okay. So the body has its energy, right? And this is the energy that we function with throughout the day. It's the energy that our heart pumps with, that our lungs expand and contract with, right? We don't actually have to consciously breathe or to pump out. They're all involuntary muscles. So where does that muscles get the energy from to function? So that's the same energy that holds all the right information, right? It holds that information. I know how to pump that heart in the most meticulous way to keep you alive, right? And I know when you're exuding a little bit more energy, when you're taking a little bit more, I also know how to move that heart rate to match what you're doing. Like, that's such a particular science, right? That your body automatically knows. So with muscle testing, we can tap into that energy.
Mm-hmm.
So here's abroad. When you are stressed, like, you feel tight, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
The muscle tighten up. And when you are happy, when you are relaxed, your muscles loosen up.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the same thing. So if I said to you, you're falling off a cliff, right? Your mind automatically creates a picture, for
Mm-hmm.
starters, and your body reacts to that. So some of your muscles right here, right now, as you picture yourself falling off a cliff, will contract.
Mm-hmm.
And your body knows what muscles to contract to keep you safe. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the reality is that your mind does not know the difference between reality and the pictures that you put in there, right? The reason right here, right now, that you don't have the same response to falling off a cliff, because the picture in mind is not connected to the same response, right? Because you're on solid ground,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what's muscle testing? Muscle testing is asking your body a question and seeing if the muscles tense up or relax. When it tenses up, there's a disconnect, dysfunction happening. It's like, something's wrong. What is it? Right? And if it's like, nah, I'm chill, all good, it relaxes. Right? So here's an example. If you want to be earning $50,000 a month, and I say to your body, how in alignment are you with $50,000 a month? Your muscles will either contract or relax. right? So it's up to me to ask your body strategic questions and see what the muscles do. How do we do this remotely? I tap into your energy and I use my muscles, right? So you might have seen, for these people that are watching this visually, I'll try and explain it as much as possible. Like if you connect your thumb and your forefinger in the O shape and connect them into a link,
Like this?
that is one way. Yeah, that is
like
one
this.
way.
My
Yeah.
little hands.
That you can test the responses that you get. So if it's a no, it'll hold tight. If it's a yes and your muscles relax, it'll release. But that is just one of thousands of muscles in the body. You can do them with any muscle, right? So for me as a practitioner, I've had to train my muscles over the years to function as soon as I want it to. Right, so I'm connecting with you. Okay, this is your goal. How aligned to you are it? How aligned to it are you? And I always work in percentages. I don't want to know a yes or no. I want to know, are you 100% aligned? Are you 100% aligned with your strategy? Are you 100% aligned to anything that you want as a goal? To the house, to the car, to the peace, to the relationship? How aligned are you? And if there's a 10% gap, I want to know why. Right? So I have a series of questions, because you've got to be careful with what questions you ask the body. Right? You can't, it's got to be a closed-ended question, right? I need a yes or no answer, because I'm only going to get a release or a contraction of the muscle. Right? And this is why it's so much easier for me to test you on me, because I have no invested interest. Right? So you're not going to sit there and go, no, I want to be 100% aligned with this, and try and release your muscle. Like, no, get your mind out of the equation here. Right? You can't manipulate yourself. So that's how we do it. And then we go, okay, how do you want to heal? How do you want to balance it? How do we close that gap? Yes, we've figured out that the reason why we can't get you to 50K months is because you have a fear of the judgment in your social circle when you start building an income, right? So common. Am I going to lose friends? And am I not going to be as relatable? You know, my friends that are struggling, I'm going to feel guilty if I'm earning 50K a month and they're struggling with their income that they have. So that is a really big reason why a lot of women struggle to build their business. So how do we move through it? Right? And this is where we can do two things. And this is, as a practitioner, that I need to be consciously aware of. Is this a very cognitive thought process that you're going through? Or is it a subconscious one where I can balance your energy and it'll filtrate into the consciousness, right? But if you're fighting it in your mind, you're like, no, I've got a best friend, she's struggling, and it's so valid. Right? That is a conscious thought that we need to shift for your sake. So that's when hypnosis is really, really effective, because it puts you into that meditative trance-like state. And that trance-like state, it releases resistance. And when you're spoken to in that state, you're more receptive to what's happening. Like, yeah, I do get that. I get it's in my best interest. I get that when I'm earning 50, 60, 70, $100,000 a month, that if I want to, I can help her. You know, I can help her financially. I can help her start her business when I know how to grow a business. Right? So that's how we can do things. And the results that we've seen, Angela, over the years is, for me, it's more than the money. And this is why I work with women. And I think, you know, when I look back at my childhood, my mum struggled financially. There's 5 of us kids, and we had almost nothing, which has been such a blessing in certain ways as well. But I watch women like my mother struggle financially, and with what I know now, we don't have to. We so don't have to. So I've seen women come from abusive relationships where they've struggled to exit because they've had no financial stability, grow million-dollar businesses that give them choice. And that's what I see money do. It gives women choice.
Mhm.
And that's what I want for every woman out there, is to have the ability to choose their pathway.
Mhm.
Do you have to do that on 50K a month? Absolutely
Right.
not. But even 5K a month, even 10K, but even a business that has flexibility.
Mhm.
Like when you have children,
Mhm.
I don't know about a lot of women, but for me, I want to be a present mum. I want to have breakfast with my kids in the morning. I want to have, a cake for them when they come home from school. I make my kids sourdough bread every day for breakfast. I want to be a present mum.
Yeah.
Can I do that and build a successful business at the same time? Now, that is also a belief that you need to watch, because a lot of us have learned that is not possible.
Mhm. Yep.
If I want a successful career, if I want a successful business, I need to sacrifice.
Mhm.
The reality is you don't. I
Mhm.
help so many single mums build amazing businesses and align themselves to a wealth of finances and pick their kids up from school and be there and play after school.
So amazing.
And that's why I do what I do.
Yeah, I mean, this is just so fascinating. I don't know. I mean, I've done some energy work. I've done a lot of the mindset work. And
Mm.
so I'm curious if there are any like simple techniques that we can use to kind of be more in tune with like where our energy is at, or maybe
Mm,
that can help us break through some of those blocks that we have.
absolutely. There's 3 ways our body tells us where our energy's at, right? I call this the brick feather truck,
Mm,
right? So the feather is our intuition, those little messages that guide us to introduce ourselves to someone, that to pick up, that certain food, to do a certain something, to have that little aha moment, right? They are subtle. So I like to look at it like this. Your intuitive voice or feeling, or however you download that intuition, because we're all a little bit different, is at the same volume. But then there's the volume of life, right? And how loud is life? What do I mean by that? How much noise in all your senses do you have? So that is music, radio. How much are you talking, to people? How much are you obstructed by even visual noise, right? How much are you consuming? Nutritional noise is also one of it. We know that if you have a high sugar diet and high processed diet, it actually blocks out your intuition,
wow,
right?
I didn't know that.
Yes, because when we look at
Makes
these
sense.
sort of things, whether it's, sugar, refined carbs, processed food, seed oils, things like that, they produce inflammation in the body,
Mhm.
right? So that inflammation is noise. It's your body's energy utilizing to heal,
Mhm.
right? And so it's not utilized over here.
Yeah, I've
So
never heard it described like
techno
that. Wow.
yes, technology is the worst when it comes to blocking our intuition.
Mhm.
Right? If you want to connect with your intuition in 7 days, do this. Take out any technology, phone, TV, radio, anything, 2 hours before bed and 2 hours on rising, and watch your intuition increase dramatically, because you're cutting out that noise,
Mhm.
right? So intuition is one way. We know where our energy's at. It'll tell us not to do this and to do that.
Mhm.
Now, what's the difference between intuition and our inner voice?
Mm.
Right? Big difference. Intuition comes with no emotional charge. Our inner voice does. So if you think of something and you feel fear, if you feel joy, if you feel any emotions, that is not your intuition. Your intuition comes as facts, right? Red is red, blue is blue, pink is pink. That's a flower. That's intuition, right? So intuition is one way. Then when we don't listen to our intuition, it comes through on the second vibration, which is emotion. Right? So how do I feel right now? And do I feel tired? Do I feel depressed? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel joyous? Right? So we can use our emotions as our guidance system to see how on track or off track we are. The more flat we are, the more jealous, envious, depressed, those lower vibrational emotions, the more that is telling us we're off path. Right? Frustration, anger, resentment, they are off path emotions. Here's the tricky thing. Emotions were never meant to be kept in the body. They were always meant as a guidance system, but we hold on to them.
Yep.
Right? She is making me feel bad. She said this to me. No, she is just a messenger to make you aware that you're off path. But we hold that resentment towards her and we hold that emotion within our body and don't let it go. Our body was never the destination. But what we can do is we can realize that that is a messenger coming to us to direct us back on path. I like to look at it as you've got this beautiful pathway and create it in your mind, right? And you can create it however you want. Mine's a nice concrete path. And either side of that in my pathway is like this dirt road. I like to look at it as like here in the Australian outback, when you drive through, it's like these vast array of nothingness. Right? And so they're like I don't like to call them negative emotions, but they're unpleasantness. And it's like pushing you back on path. Right? It's like, oh, there's a bit of envy or jealousy or frustration. Like, what do you need to adjust in your life, in your perspective, in your mindset, in your physical world to bring you back on your path? Right? And that's what emotions are for. So you can use your emotions as your guidance system. The third one is when we don't listen to our emotions, which, let's face it, and not a lot of us have been taught to, the energy builds up even more and heavier and denser and ends up as physical pain and discomfort. It's the shoulder pain. It's the gut health, as we were speaking before, right? It's the back pain. When someone comes to me and goes, oh, my left hip, I'm like, oh, who are you not communicating with properly, right? So your body holds information in it when we don't listen to it on multiple levels. Right? It's the toothache, it's things like that. And the problem is when we leave it for long enough, it starts to affect the cells of our body, the physical cells. And that's where sometimes just that awareness won't help. And that you do need the medication to bring your body to the certain point back into health. And then you can take it that one step further with, all right, what is it actually telling me? Right? I have one friend, and he's a life coach. He's one of the best life coaches I know. And he'll go to me, Jennifer, I've got my left shoulder. Can you talk to me? What's the problem? And I'll tell him what his problem is for him, and he'll go, thanks for that. And the next day he'll go away and do his work on what the issue is for him. And you go, pain's gone. Thank you so much. Or, my bottom lip is unusually dry. I'm like, perfect. Let's have a look. What's the bottom lip? Bottom lip is, your intestine, what's happening, self-worth, tap into his body intuitively. All right, it's, your self-worth around this subject. Go and do the work. So your body, and this is where Chinese medicine is really brilliant with this, is every emotion is connected to an organ and an energy system of the body. So if your lungs aren't functioning properly, if you're coughing too much, if your bowels aren't moving correctly, if you have heart palpitations, it is always a indication of what is happening in that energetic channel or meridian, we call it. And then what emotions are connected to that.
I am just so fascinated, and I'm hanging on your every word. Just like, what in the world? I feel like this is just something we all need to know about. And I think we're living in a time of awakening, and we're beginning to understand that there are other ways to go about achieving what we want to achieve other than what we've been conditioned to think,
Yeah.
is success or the path to success. So this is so fascinating. I'm so looking forward to hearing what the audience has to say. We're running up a little bit against time. I don't know if you wanted to share anything about how this work has impacted you as a mom, because, doing this incredible work for other moms, I'm sure that it has spilled over into your home life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I've got two children, 10, how old's my other one? 10 and 13, bless him.
I,
And both me and my husband are entrepreneurs. So I love the fact that both of my children know that anything is possible for them.
right. Yeah.
And that is really important for me. I have one child that is very gifted. I
Mhm.
have one child that struggles in the school system because he's dyslexic.
Mhm.
But my aim is to, and they are being life showcases of this, is that nothing needs to stop them.
Mhm.
Whether it's, where your gifts lie
Mhm.
or what other people think or say,
Mhm.
nothing needs to stop you.
Mhm.
What you need to find is your pathway to your destination.
Yeah.
We've just started a business with my eldest son through his direction. And which is it's kicking off the ground really well. And every time we do an event with his products, I say to him, how many do you want to sell this weekend?
Mhm.
And we put our goals in place. And
Mhm.
I'm like, all right, let's go do it.
Mhm.
It's so beautiful to see him manifest that. And the first thing I say, is there any doubts around that?
Mhm.
Let's look at that.
Mhm.
What is your doubts here?
Mhm.
And funny, he goes to me one day, Mum, my doubt is that you are stopping sales. So can you just go stand over there?
I love it.
And he proves himself right. So I'm like, okay, I can stand over there, but if I need to help you, you need to change that mindset.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. Oh,
So it's
um,
not, for me, it's not just about women. And yes, I work with women because
right.
we have a very much a like-minded way of thinking. We
Mhm.
do. Because the reality is, Angela, it's not long in the history of the world that we've been allowed to work,
Mhm.
that we've been allowed to have a bank account,
Right.
that we've been taken seriously as
Right.
businesswomen.
Right. And if you know anything about trauma and energy, it's like that is passed down generationally. So
Absolutely.
we are still trying to heal the wounds and the trauma of generations past.
Right. And even if it didn't directly affect your heritage line, it's a collective trauma. Right?
Mhm.
And even when I look at my heritage line, so my grandmother never worked a day in her life, right? Not a bad thing, but it's just her generation. She never drove a car, right? She still doesn't.
Mhm.
So even having that sort of background and
Mhm.
then coming into, no, I want to work. I
Mhm.
want to build something. I want to help people. I want to show women what is possible.
Right.
It's a 360-degree flip that your energy system, your mind, your body needs to do.
Yeah, that's an amazing point. And we're at the forefront of redefining a lot of things, motherhood, business, so that is just an amazing point that if you're beating yourself up why it's so hard or feels so hard, there's so many reasons why. And you're not
Really?
alone. For
So the
sure.
first place to start in identifying for you why,
Mm-hmm.
grab your goal, whatever it is. I
Mm-hmm.
want 2 more clients. I want 5 more sales. I want, 10 grand for the month, whatever it might be. And ask yourself, why don't I think I can do that? Reverse engineer it. Why don't I think I can do that? Or why can't I have that? And start getting really honest with yourself. Because in that honesty lies all the answers to why, energetically, subconsciously, and consciously, that is not working for you. And as mompreneurs, one thing that we're really good at gaslighting ourselves with, and I reckon this will come up for 90% of mums when they become honest with themselves, is that on some level, don't shoot me for saying this, on some level we have had at some stage a level of resentment for being a business owner and a mum at the same time.
Yeah.
Because they're both really, I don't want to say difficult, but they're big roles.
They are. Yeah. Actually, I was just having a conversation with somebody about that, and she started her podcast in the midst of being a new mom, and she resented that her husband could seemingly just go off and do his thing and be the entrepreneur. And she was a mom, but also wanted to do all these things. And, it's a lot at once. So that's a very common story. And I think something that's going to ring true for a lot of us.
So the thing is here, if we have resentment, we won't be able to drive our business forward because the resentment blocks you.
Yeah. So
So
fascinating. I could talk to you for hours, I'm sure. I mean, it's been just such an amazing conversation, so fascinating. If you want to leave listeners with, one message or messages that you want them to really keep with them from the conversation, what would that be?
the dream you have in your mind is possible. It may not be the dream that comes into your reality tomorrow, but keep working at it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that vision is yours to make your reality.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Such inspiring last comments. It's so true. And I think we need to just take time to be quiet and listen to what our bodies are trying to tell us and, our energy. And I think that would go so much further than consistently just trying to be busy. you know,
Yeah.
it's so
Because in reality, how busy do you need to be to make it
right.
happen?
I am sure listeners are going to want to connect with you and learn more about what you're doing. So where can they do that?
Come over to Instagram. I'm always hanging out there. So my Instagram handle is Jennifer McCormack Wellness, or on my website, which is jennifermccormack.com.au, because I'm in Australia.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a fascinating conversation.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Angela.
Absolutely.